Yo guys, what's up? Today I'm gonna be showing you a quick, somewhat simple little tutorial. Nothing too crazy, but a pretty helpful couple of tips that I'm gonna show you. Today I'm gonna be showing you how to process vocals in Ableton using mostly Ableton plugins. There's one thing that I'm doing here that you may or may not need to even do that's gonna be not Ableton plugins or Ableton effects, but other than that, we're going all Ableton effects. So I have this little loop. I'll play it for you, and I'll point out some of the things that are wrong with it that we need to fix.
Through dark and stormy weather, I know we'll be together. Just take my hand and we will be alright. We'll dance around in matter, colliding worlds will shatter. If there's no way back, I know we'll be alright.
So, this is just like this vocal sample. It's from, I think, let me do a show in browser. It's the Kate Wild Loop Masters Acapella Pack, Volume 3, I guess.
Through dark and stormy weather.
I didn't touch it. It's just in G flat major or F sharp major, just as it is in the original. And then I just took, actually I did edit it a little bit. I took this first one,
stormy weather, all will be together.
and then I took this last one and put them together and just made it into like this vocal hook. But there's a few things going on here that are wrong, and then I just have these chords playing under it. So basically, obviously this isn't like a full song that I'm mixing this with, but you can actually do a lot with just these two elements. Now the first thing that I'm hearing, and this is the thing that we're going to use that isn't an Ableton effect, but you may or may not need to use this for your vocal, it just kind of depends. I hear a little bit of out of tuneness, and the best way I can think to fix that is with autotune. You could use like Melodyne or something, but I mean, autotune will get the job done, and it's just a few small changes we gotta make. So I'm turning up the pitch amount. I just dropped autotune on here. I'm turning up the pitch amount, the amplitude amount, and the formant amount all the way. I'm gonna set the retune speed a little bit faster. The faster you go, the more like T-Pain it is the best way I can describe it.
Through dark and stormy weather, I know we'll be together. Just take my hand and we will be alright.
But about like that is good.
Matter, colliding worlds will shatter.
So you can hear already the vocals sound a lot more professional, and this whole thing sounds a lot better because it's perfectly in tune. And I can't talk about this enough. You need to start with good source audio. A lot of people think you can record like a bad singer or like a bad recording and then make it good, but it doesn't really work that way. You can't really do too much with a bad vocal. And I'm not just talking about a bad performance or like a bad, out of tune performance either. I mean, obviously that's not good, but you can you can actually fix that pretty well. Like you're seeing with autotune and with Melodyne, we totally could. But what I'm really mostly talking about is like bad singers, maybe they just don't have a good tone to their voice. They aren't like singing their best, they were out of breath, whatever it is. You can't fix a bad performance. The mindset you need to have is it needs to be 90% of the way there before you've done any processing, and then the processing puts that last little 10% on there, or like you can think of it as like the processing is going to put a little bit more sparkle on it, but you need to already have the best way I can put it is, okay, so like say you're making a cake, right? The cake has to be very good. The icing and like the sprinkles and all that kind of stuff can make it better, but the cake needs to be, the base of it needs to be good to start with. So that's what you need to think of here. Your vocal recording and your dry vocal is like the cake, and then processing is like the frosting and sparkles. Or not sparkles, sprinkles. My goodness. But now I'm going to start processing it, and the processing, the way you need to think of it is more like identifying issues with it than fixing them, as opposed to like, trying to do things that I don't know, just sort of do random things. Like you need to focus on like like I said, fixing it. So one thing I'm hearing here
through dark and stormy weather, I know we'll be
is it needs a bit more high end. It's not quite crisp enough. So I'm gonna do a high end boost. And a lot of you may be thinking, what? Don't do that. You can't do that with mixing. This isn't mixing. This is like this is like mixing, but I'm using this for sound design. I'm using this to like boost up the high end for sound design to design the sound literally. And yeah, so there's really nothing wrong with doing boosts like this in this context that I'm using it
Through
in.
dark and stormy weather, I know we'll be together. Just take my hand
And now you
we
can hear
will
there's
be.
a lot more high-end clarity in there. So the next thing I'm hearing this needs is a bit of ping pong delay. And these delays are actually very important for vocals, because what you like can really do with them is they can help space things out. Right now this is kind of
Through
like,
dark and stormy weather, I know we'll be.
it doesn't really have any depth. It's just kind of like, you know, it's just a dry vocal. But what this delay is going to do, and I'm setting it on the 4, which means quarter notes, it's going to add a bit of depth to it.
Through dark
and a
and
bit.
stormy weather, I know we'll be together. Just take my hand and we will be alright.
Now the key to any kind of like reverb or delay on vocals is a very low, dry, wet. Because you don't want it to be overtaking it, but you want it to be in there. And you see that's adding some rhythm too.
Through dark and stormy weather, I know we'll be together. Just take my hand and we will be all.
But you see when I turn that dry, wet up, it gets like too much. It gets kind of overbearing. But it adds a bit of rhythm because it's like, it just adds that quarter note feel to it, which helps too because these chords are swinging around a lot and the vocals are all off beat. I mean, not off beat, but like they're all syncopated, so it really helps. So after that, I'm gonna bring the reverb on here and I'm gonna solo this. The reverb is something, you don't have to do too much to it, but I like to edit it a little bit. I usually change the quality to high right off the bat just to make it better. And I'll turn the dry wet down, just like I said with the delay. The key to good vocal reverb and delay is a low dry wet and just sort of going from there.
Through dark and stormy weather, I know we'll be together. Just take my hand and we will be alright. We'll dance around.
Alright, so that's pretty good. And a good way to do it too is actually funny, is to listen to acapellas like from songs, like if you get any pop song acapella, like listen to like, I don't know, like an Ariana Grande acapella or something. And listen to those and hear kind of like what their vocals are doing, and then sort of apply that to yours. Like this to me
Through dark and stormy weather.
reminds me very much of when I would download like an acapella from like a dance track or something. So that's kind of like a good technique to do it. Now we've pretty much got our most of our stuff, and I'll show you now that I've got this stuff on how much of a difference it makes. Here is without it.
Through dark and stormy weather, I know we'll
It sounds like a demo or like a phone recording or something, and then with it.
Through dark and stormy weather, I know we'll be together. Just take my hand and we will be alright. We'll dance around and matter.
It's not perfect, but you see, like, it really feels a lot better. It's a lot more present. The reverb and delay are giving it a lot more space and a lot more rhythm through the delay. It's just quite a bit better. Now the last thing I'm going to experiment with here is the Haas effect. And I've actually made a video tutorial on how to do the Haas effect, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it here too, because it's a really good technique for vocals. So the way I would do it is you get a blank audio effect rack. And what you do is make 2 chains. So right click or click with 2 fingers, I think, if you're on a Mac, and hit create chain, and then do it again. And we're going to paint each of these, one all the way to the left, one all the way to the right. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to split this signal into the left and right channel. And so like normally they're moving in parallel and you just get the dry mono vocal that isn't wide. What we're going to do with this is we're going to move one of them forward so it's happening after the other channel. And if you do it within a range of like anywhere from like 10 milliseconds to 40 milliseconds, it gives you this illusion that, or it gives your ears and your brain this illusion that you're hearing this big wide vocal, when really it's just the same vocal doubled up and delayed a little bit. I'll show you. So on the right ear, I'm going to put the simple delay, and, okay, so what we're going to do with that is we're going to keep the feedback down all the way. You don't want any feedback because you just want it to literally be the one signal. Like, you just want it to play through as if it was just playing dry, but moved forward with the delay, if that makes any sense. We're going to set the dry wet up all the way, wet, because we do want that. I'm going to link these two. You want it to be a mono delay because it's just in one ear. So you just want it to be one signal. We're going to unsync it, and then now you see this milliseconds comes up. So I usually start with like 15 milliseconds, and like I said, anywhere from like 10 to 40 milliseconds or 50 is the effect. After that, it kind of just becomes it's not really the effect anymore. I'll show you what I mean in a sec. But now,
through dark and stormy weather, I know we'll be together. Just take my hand and we will be alright. We'll dance around in
you have to turn it down a little bit usually,
through dark and stormy weather, I know we'll be together.
because it gets a little bit louder. But you see, this makes it a lot wider.
Through dark and stormy weather, I know.
And the idea is that what we're gonna do is we're going to by doing this, we're going to put the vocals in a different space than the other elements. Mixing is all about space, right? It's about like putting things in their own space where they go. Frequency wise, stereo field wise, and just generally like what you're hearing wise. So what this will do is the chords are very much down the center. They got a bit of stereo from like the delay and reverb, but they're definitely in like this one spot that's like in the middle. Whereas this now is in the left and right ear, but it feels like it's in a different spot from these chords.
Through dark and stormy weather, I know we'll be together.
And that's what you want, because you want the vocal to be way louder than ever. I mean, not way louder, but you want the vocal to be the loudest thing, for the most part. Like, when you're doing like these dance mixes, or even like if you're mixing a hip hop song, or just like anything really, you want it to be like, your kick and vocal and bass are like the three loudest things. And so a good way to do that is to put the vocal in front of everything, and this is how you do that, is with this Haas effect and with obviously proper leveling.
Through dark and stormy weather, I know we'll be together. Just take my hand and we will be alright.
But yeah, I mean, this is a pretty solid vocal chain. I'm gonna have this project file in the description so you can download this. You probably saw it in the title, free project file or whatever. But you can download this vocal chain if you want and mess around with it, or just have it to use for your own, but it's really not that crazy. You can go in there with like maybe do some compression and stuff, but or like mess with other stuff like some saturation, or I don't know. There's a lot of things you can do, but in my opinion, this is really the essentials. It's just getting it in tune, making sure like sonically it sounds good, using an EQ, like boosting and cutting things that are sticking out, but only doing it based on what's there. Like, you need to listen to it and hear stuff. Don't just go in and throw on an EQ like this on every vocal and think it's going to sound good. And then the delay and reverb to give it some space and to give it a little bit of rhythm with the delay. And then this Haas effect to just sort of tie everything together and put it in a space separate from the chords and all the other instruments in the mix. So you can have a clean, full mix that everything has its own space. And that's pretty much it for today, guys. I hope you learned something. Like I said, this project file is going to be free download. I'm going to change this to the Ableton piano, though, this Serum. So in case you don't have Serum, you can still load it. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Like this video, subscribe if you liked it. Comment, let me know what you think. Check out my single packs in the description. And yeah, peace out, guys.